Welcome back to our end of the year episode of Tidal Flooding Talk. I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci. The gang is all here. Meteorologist Dan Skeldon, Palma Showers is here. No guests for today. We have a whole bunch of Tidal Flooding Talk awards that we're going to give out this week here, the week between Christmas and New Year's. Obviously, as we all know, typically slow time, but we wanted to give you something to close out 2025. So everybody, how's it going? We're all home and we look pretty cozy today. Dan's in a nice flannel shirt. It's winter. It's dark out, and you look very comfortable, Dan.
I am cozy, still decorated for the holidays for a little while longer, and love the holiday season. The older I get, the more it wears me out. But yeah, I definitely am my element through the holidays, and it's great to be back together. I know, Joe, you've been the fixture here. Palm and I have been kind of trading off, but it's nice to have the gang all back together again.
Well, it takes a village to get it done. So, Paula, what's going on?
Well, I'm in the new house and
Yeah,
it's actually like making me enjoy winter a little bit more because it's very like woodsy over here.
right.
So it's I think winter is a really nice season to be out in the woods.
I'm sure. What was it nice when you had that little bit of snow on December 14th?
Yes, the kids got out and played in the snow.
Right.
It was a nice welcoming snow event for only being here a week at the time. So,
Awesome. Well, you
right.
Mother Nature gave you a housewarming gift,
Yeah. No
and
pun intended.
yes, yeah, no pun intended.
A
That's right.
not so housewarming.
And it was house cooling gift with the snow. And Dan, you've played the role as hero, being one of Eastern PA's finest here. You had quite the busy day on December 19th with all those wins, taking care of things going on. You're a volunteer firefighter amongst the 562 other things you do. Tell us how that was.
It was great. It was crazy. We had the deep snowpack, well, not deep snowpack, but we had a snowpack for 2 weeks. Dreaming of a white Christmas, and then this powerful cold front came through, got soaking rain and washed all the snow away. Then a squall line came through, and 60 plus mile per hour winds, snapped poles, brought trees down on wires. And we're a small little volunteer fire department, and we met our weekly call volume and then some in one day. So it was busy. Thankfully, no injuries or anything like that, but just a lot of damage from those winter winds whipping up.
Yeah, did you guys see what happened at the Sunoco station in Lavalette?
No.
Yeah, so Sunoco station like collapsed in Lavalette from the winds that we had on Friday. I mean, gusts in most towns, most beach towns were over 45. I mean, Ocean County, I'm looking right now. I mean, there was no Lavalette, but it was let's see, it was 52 in Toms River, 49 in Seaside Heights. Manilokin was 57, and yeah, it collapsed the Sunoco. Now it's a small business. They actually own like something fishing or boating related. I'm not sure, but they said they will rebuild. So that is good news. I mean, Lavalette, like many beach towns, they only have one, maybe two gas stations in town. Good that they're going to get back on their feet, but definitely stinks what happened, with that. Anyway, so we are back. It's our first, I guess we could say a full year. I mean, we pretty much had a full year of Tidal Flooding Talks. We started with our first episode in January, but it was January 28th when we had our welcome episode. And now I just feel like we've been doing it forever at this point. What do you guys think?
Sure feels like it. I mean, kudos to, the lineup of guests that you guys procure. It makes the show, leaps and bounds. Like, it just continues to improve. I think it's interesting content. It's varied content, and the hosts aren't that bad either.
Yeah, we're like a 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, and I don't think we say this enough, but if any of our viewers do have any like topic suggestions or questions, they could always message us on Facebook and we'll review those going forward and hopefully be able to bring up your questions during our shows.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know you're listening. I mean, we calculate the numbers. I keep track of it every week, and we've had a couple thousand, about 3,000 listeners an episode to our Tidal Flooding Talk content. So we know you're listening out there, and we really appreciate it. I mean, because without you, we're not doing this. I know it sounds cliche, but it is true. But yeah, I mean, new topics and guests for 2026. I'm sure we already have, let's put it this way. We already have our schedule out through the March 17th episode. So we are good for the first quarter of the year, but we're going to need more. And, we're going to have a mix of guests, both locally and nationally. I mean, Dan and Paul, I mean, you guys were doing it at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City for years, and we did lose that local flair a little bit when we went to this all, Zoom format, and we understand that. But I think, to Dan's point, I mean, we were able to bring in guests who were able to talk about tidal flooding or related issues in a way that might be more national, and definitely get us some more of our white whale guests. I mean, we had the director of the National Hurricane Center on, the director of pretty much the research engine of NOAA on. I mean, we've had a lot of big players in this space that are able to come on because, they're in other parts of the world. So we would love for them all to come to the Irish Pub, and we were going to record an episode there, but it couldn't happen. That was beyond our control, but maybe we'll make it happen in 2026.
Yeah, the guests you guys get, or we get. I mean, Joe, I know you're paramount in setting a lot of these things up and fishing around and seeing who bites. But I mean, you have a great record at just getting an amazing lineup of guests. So I miss the Irish Pub. I would have loved a nice holiday episode. Maybe we could shoot for that next year. But can't wait to see who we have lined up in 2026. It's tough to beat the 2025 first year lineup, but if anyone can do it, I'm sure you can.
Well, we're going to try. We're going to kick off the new year with Dr. Lenore Tedesco from the Wetlands Institute. That's in Stone Harbor. They actually just got, I'm going to get the number wrong, but like a $2.5 or $3.5 million grant to restore some small islands over in the Bay. And that just happened like the week before Christmas. So shout out to her. It's going to be great. We have Amanda Oglesby from the Asbury Park Press talking about wave power and energy. We have Jim Murdoch, who Dan knows from his NBC 40 Days, now on News 12. He actually just texted me, funny enough, as we're recording this, and it's not about tidal flooding talk. But we also have some national guests as well. I mean, we have Dr. Pedro Lomanico from Oregon State University about their Hinsdale Wave Lab experiments that they do. If you go on Oregon State University's engineering Instagram pages, it's super cool. They have this huge pool, and they make all of these different waves to help with engineering. And then we have Dan's good friends, Matt and Danielle Noyes from 1 Degree Outside to talk about New England nor'easters and coastal flooding. So we got things from all different parts of the globe, but we definitely, this is the New Jersey Coastal Coalition. So of course we're going to have some New Jersey guests, and we want that to be a basis. But we're trying. We're going to try, Dan. All that to say is we're going to try to keep up with what we did in 2025.
Yeah, and I think what I miss most with the Irish Pub is this time of year, actually, because they have it decorated so lovely for Christmas. And I think around this time is when I would treat myself to like an Irish coffee after the show. It just goes with the whole vibe.
Hey, I know. I agree. I mean, so for just to let everybody know, we were supposed to have our NJ Coastal Coalition holiday party at the Irish Pub, but we had to cancel. It was beyond our control. But we were going to record there, and we were going to have some of our local, NJCC members come on, chat, kind of make it casual. But, we'll have to wait for next year. Let's take our first break. We'll come back, and we'll give out some of our Tidal Flooding Talk awards here in just a minute. Thanks to the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, your flood insurance bills are lower and your streets safer from the reality of flooding. Since beginning in 2013, we build more resilient shoreline communities. Our member towns develop and share in best practices that anticipate future concerns and create flooding solutions. From our town-specific free web app for flooding information to our weekly Tidal Flooding Talk show, we focus on flooding 24/7. Visit www.njcoastalcoalition.com for more. And welcome back to Tidal Flooding Talk. We are recapping the year that was in Tidal Flooding Talk. We appreciate everybody listening. Thousands, literally, we can say thousands of you who listen every week. We do appreciate that. So Palma came up with a very nice list here. She called it TFT Guest Yearbook Superlatives. We got about 10 of them here. And we're going to go through the list and we're going to kind of share who comes to mind with some of these superlatives. So before we get into that, let me ask you guys this. In your high school yearbooks, were you guys voted best of anything? Was there a young Dan or young Palma in the yearbook for best something?
No, I was not.
No.
What were you, Joe? I know you're
No. I mean, mine was not a good one, so I wasn't even going to share it. But Dan, go ahead. You go first.
Well, now you have to share it.
All right. I actually got voted the second worst car in the parking lot. That's what I got voted.
That was a superlative?
Oh, yeah, it was well, what's the opposite of superlative?
What kind of car was it?
It was a 1991 Toyota Camry.
Okay. Hey, yeah. At least it wasn't the worst car. There was someone else. Oh,
the person who had the worst car, he had a 1978. I can't remember what it was. It was brown. I remember it. And it was all. Now I graduated high school in 09. So my Camry was 18 years old. But you know what? I mean, it was my grandparents' Camry, and that was like they gave me that car. Then they got a new car, so I took it. It was a V6. It was a Toyota Camry Deluxe. So it actually had power. It had power seatbelts. The seatbelts would actually move back and forth, and it had sport mode on it for a Toyota Camry. So it wasn't that bad, but the paint was all crapped out, and that was all. So that's why I'm saying I'm not really proud of it per se, but I was in the yearbook for that.
We didn't have any rankings like that. I guess we didn't do that at our high school. So,
no?
Yeah, I feel like I missed out on some fun though.
Did you guys have that in high school, Palma?
Yeah, we did, but not anything like that. I think
okay.
The craziest
we were hardcore.
one may have been like best friend, like the two most likely to be best friends, or I don't even know. Like they were funny ones, but not to that extent.
All right. So we're not a winning group. We weren't a winning group in the yearbook then. We were just we were flying. Well, I guess I was flying way under the radar. I was below ground with my second worst car in the parking lot, but you guys were flying under the radar. All right.
Well, Joe, if they ever had a category most likely to start a podcast centered on tidal flooding, I hope that you would have gotten it.
It's true. Yeah, good point. I mean, podcasts weren't a thing. I don't think were podcasts even a thing in 2009. Probably not.
Nope.
Yeah, I remember on the last thing, and then we'll get to it. I remember I had an iPod, right? Like I had a few iPods. I think I had a Shuffle, and then I had a Nano, or no, maybe a Mini, then a Nano. Anyway, but they used to have that button that said podcast at the bottom, and that was such. I remember. I don't know why. I remember. It's like a core memory, but I remember how unusual. I was like, what is this? Because it just didn't make sense. To me, it was who would just listen to people talking when you had the radio or Sirius XM? It just, I don't know. And now look at us. So anyway, all right, let's get into it. So we're going to do the first one here, most likely to make us all stop talking. When a sentence lands so hard that the room goes silent. So this is what we came up with here. Our guy Hurricane Hal, Dr. Hal Needham, that was our August 27th episode. He actually did the top 3 storm surges in New Jersey, America, and then the world. And he said that India and Bangladesh had 7 surges that exceeded Hurricane Katrina between 1960 to 1970, all over 29 feet. Sandy was 13 feet at its most. So he was saying, imagine 7 surges, twice as high as Sandy in a 10-year period. I don't even know if you could put that. I mean, he put that into words, but visualizing that in a period of time is just wow.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was on the edge of my seat for that episode because he was like going through the list and it was like suspenseful. Like, okay, what's the next one?
And he for New Jersey, and it was the Gloria, it was a 1944 hurricane, and then Sandy took the top spot for that one. So feel free to check out that old episode. Palm, you want to go to the next one?
Sure, okay. Most likely to make it click. So this is meant for somebody that has a really good explanation for something and it all made sense for us afterward. We said Natalie Morgan from our May 20th episode, and she explained that properties that get purchased and have issues with contaminant, she's the person who has to help tell them what to do to clean it up, right? And do the testing and everything like that. So,
Yeah, and Natalie, a friend of Palma's, that we had come on, and that was interesting too. We'll probably have her back on in 2026. That would be my thought here. Okay, we have best big picture thinker. Always zooming out when the rest of us are stuck in the weeds. Now, this one I had to think about a little bit. I went with our good longtime most frequent Tidal Flooding Talk guest, Jim Eberwine. Jim always has a way of well, at least when I talk with him, just in even non-Tidal Flooding Talk conversations, of pulling out when I get too in the weeds. He's like, wait, he talks about the bigger picture. So, Dan, I don't know if you have anything on that, but we had Jim on April 9th.
I think absolutely the right decision. He just puts things so clearly, and yeah, lets you visualize the whole picture. While other meteorologists tend to, yeah, like you said, get stuck in the weeds or delve into the specifics or get tangled up. He's the great untangler and just makes it so crystal clear and so easy to understand. 100%.
And we'll have to have him on in 2026 because he might lose his top spot for most frequent guest.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have him on.
yeah, absolutely. Dan, who do you think we were saying for most passionate in the best way? And you could hear how passionate they are when they talk about it.
Most passionate. We've had a lot of guests that qualify.
I think there's one that stands out in particular.
Yeah.
I was going to throw Joe Bastardio.
There we go.
I mean, he just stands out as just, lifelong weather passion, firm believer in the science, and he could talk and talk and talk and keep you engaged as well, and go off on a couple tangents and then come back.
Yeah, I think we all said it combined 12 words during that episode.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it was like the first question, and then he was just off to the races. So, Joe, you can check out that. That's on October. That was from October 28th. We really had him on to talk about his power and impact scale for hurricanes. And he talked about a lot more than that.
We got into that a little towards the end, but
we did.
And that was very valuable too. And
I
really do hope that's visited nationally at some point. But yeah, we could have Joe on 20 times and he could fill the content so easily.
Yeah. When we do like our telethon episode, one day, maybe when we're big enough, we'll have him on to talk. All right, let's take our second break here. We'll come right back and we'll finish up our superlatives here on Tidal Flooding.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We are brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, and we would like to remind our viewers to insure your property. Most home insurance policies do not cover flood damage. That's why having flood insurance is crucial. Through the National Flood Insurance Program, otherwise known as the NFIP, communities partner with FEMA to make coverage available, often at discounted rates. Know your risk, explore your options, and make sure you're covered before the next storm hits.
Awesome.
Good advice.
And we are back with our superlatives from our year of Tidal Flooding Talk here. We're going to go into the most thought-provoking conversation, the episode we kept thinking about long after it ended. We went with Amy Wicks. That was our September 10th episode. She helped engineer the first, quote, hurricane-proof town in Babcock Ranch, Florida. Super smart. And it just like, it kind of like makes sense. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I hope more places can do it. She said there was another town who was interested in doing this. The thing with Babcock Ranch is that it was kind of a new town, so she could do more with the town to make it windproof and floodproof. Going to be a little bit different at the Jersey Shore, but if you listen to the podcast, she does offer some tips on what the Jersey Shore could do.
Yeah, I don't think you can, obviously replicate that in existing towns and infrastructures, like totally, rather than build a new town. But no, you can learn lessons, and I think it's a novel concept, and that was definitely very, very interesting. It was one of the more interesting episodes we've had, and we've had a lot of them.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what do we have next, Palma?
Okay. Most calm while describing something slightly terrifying. Said alarming things, but very peacefully. What do you think,
right.
Joe?
Yeah, so we went with Kylie Price from Inside Climate News. We actually had her on twice, maybe because she said calming thing or alarming things so peacefully. So we had September 23rd was her episode on wildfire burn scars, exaggerating flooding. And then on November 4th, we talked about ghost boats lingering in waterways after a storm. Both of those, pretty scary. I mean, the ghost boats aren't super scary, but scary because we have ghosts in the name. But I think general demeanor, she was definitely, the most calm with that. So congrats, Kylie. Round of applause for Kylie for being the most calm while describing something slightly terrifying. Next one, we had most likely to lose track of time. Dan, what do you think?
I don't know. Can Joe Bastardi get 2 awards?
He sure can, because that's what I was thinking. We'll go with Joe Bastardi because I had to, we usually record like 3 9-minute segments, and I had to like really play the accordion on these times. They say meteorologists are always the accordion in broadcast news. Dan knows that very well. We can carry that over to Joe Bastardi and Tidal Flooding Talk because we almost couldn't fit commercial breaks in there because of Joe talking. But we appreciate his insight nonetheless. All right, next we had most likely to teach us something we didn't know. And generally, we hope that most of our Tidal Flooding Talk conversations are teaching, you all something you didn't know, and even us something we didn't know. Now, I will say this. Dan and I recorded with Dr. Lenore Tedesco already. That's going to be our first episode of 2026. I was going to use that one because as you'll all listen to in January, there was one thing in particular that kind of like blew our minds. But I didn't want to use that because this is a 2025 list. So we went with Alex Harris from the Miami Herald. She was on twice, but I did go with the June 17th episode. And really just her explanations of how the flooding and the wind insurance industry works in Florida was great. I mean, I didn't really know that the state government had its own kind of backup insurance policy. And then just the nuances on what can and can't be done after a hurricane hits in terms of building codes and what's proposed in the Florida Senate was really enlightening. So she's super smart. I love having her on. I mean, I think if we ever needed an emergency fill-in host, I would pick Alex first. But that was what we had for that.
I think that's a good choice. taking what you said about our upcoming January episode aside, because I'm still kind of mind blown about that. But no, Alex was great. And it was so eye opening to learn how different states work and some of the shocking ways they work as well. So yeah, absolutely. And I also get on board with Alex. Oh, not that we ever need another co-host, but yeah, she could fill that role very nicely.
That's right. All right. Palma, what do we have next?
Okay, most likely to explain coastal science and then go surfing.
Right.
Understanding the ocean and actually being in it both matter.
And our winner for that one is Dave Werner, because he actually owns a surf school and was on Tidal Flooding Talk. So that fit perfectly. But he does teach coastal flight to students. He's a teacher in Ocean County. He was in the spring, our episode with him. It was April 22nd. But it was really education and tidal flooding. And we did talk about surfing, including some of his adventures in Ireland, surfing as well, which has become a little bit of a hotspot for surfing across the globe. So shout out to Dave for that. So we have 2 minutes left. We're not going to do the one thing we can't stop talking about, because we already gave Joe that award for talking the whole episode twice. But we can do two more here. So we have most likely to remind us that flooding is an emergency. Because while everyone else is watching water rise, his crews are already responding. Palm, I'll let you announce the winner, since this is a hometown hero for you.
Yes, we did Fire Chief Dan Adams. If you recall, we had him on for an episode after, what flooding event was that, Joe?
Yeah, that was after the late August flooding, which was the highest summertime tide on record for much of the South Jersey part of the shoreline. Not the northern coast, but the southern coast. Yeah.
Yeah, and his crews had to rescue people that were out during that flooding event, and either their cars were flooded or even they couldn't leave restaurants they were dining in. And yeah, so that was definitely.
Yeah, that was our September 9th episode. And then our last one here, about we do most likely to have a shark as a best friend. That sounds fun. We're not sure if this is literal, but kind of felt right for us here in Tidal Flooding Talk. We went with Dr. Aaron Carlisle from the University of Delaware. Congrats for winning our last superlative here for Tidal Flooding Talk. He was on with us on October 21st. And using sharks to track hurricanes. So that was an interesting episode there. So that's what we had. We actually had more, but we're running out of time here for our half-hour episode. But we certainly had enough content to fill all these superlatives. Any last 2025 wishes for anybody before we wrap up, guys?
Go ahead, Dan.
I think it's just going through those lists and giving those awards, how many guests we had on, and I'm just hoping for, like I said, an all-star packed lineup for 2026, and big year coming up for me. I turning 50 this year, so
yeah.
I'm just hoping for health and happiness. I always say that every year, but I think especially this year. So how about you guys? Any New Year's resolutions or wishes for 2026?
I just want to get through the renovations we're going to be doing in our new house, and I don't know, just continue what we're doing here with Tidal Flooding Talk.
I think I said this on an episode, or it might be with Dr. Tedesco. My New Year's resolution for 2026 is to touch my toes, because I can't touch my toes. I'm not that flexible. So I'm working on it. I've already been working on it, but I'm really trying to work on it. And then secondly, trying to buy a house. So that will be in the cards. So I got to follow in Palma's footsteps. Can you guys touch your toes?
Yeah, I can, but
I thought everybody could.
I cannot, but I'll propose, Palma. What do you think? At the end of every Tidal Flooding Talk episode in 2026, have Joe get up and try to touch his toes, and we can mark his progress on video throughout the year.
I would say at least on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
Check.
All right.
All right. We'll keep that in mind. I mean, Right now I'm probably, I mean, I don't know how it's gonna work with the Zoom background. Can we do it? Let's see.
I
I can
think
get
so.
down. Yeah, see, this isn't great with the Zoom. I can get down.
Oh,
I'm
you're
like,
almost,
I don't know if you can even see it. I'm like 2 inches above my feet right now. That's
Okay.
where
you're
I'm.
almost there. So we might have to check
You could do 2 inches in
every
a
couple.
year.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna try. So. All right, everyone. Well, we really appreciate everyone tuning in this year. We have, like I said, we already have guests lined up through March, but we want you to tell us who you want to have on Tidal Flooding Talk. So reach out to us, on Dan's Facebook page or the Tidal Flooding Talk Facebook page, my Facebook page, Instagram, whatever. Hope you all have a great, happy new year, and we'll be back with you in 2026. Take care.